You know that there's 173 known health-promoting substances in elderberry. This is where we planted them, isn't it? Even when that size will make a nice plant.
Because it was a protector of the gardens, too. Welcome back to the homestead. Today it's a little cloudy. I thought we were going to have some sunshine, but I'm going to bring a little sunshine to you guys today because we have a very, very special guest here on our property. And I have been looking forward to this for a long, long time. And I know you guys are going to have so much fun and learn so much. Your brains are going to be full of knowledge. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you a good friend of ours. This is Terry Durham.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me out. It's always a pleasure to be out here. It's so beautiful this time of year, and it looks like you got a lot of stuff going on.
It is, and Terry is from River Hills Harvest, and if you have not heard of him, he is the elderberry ninja. He knows everything about elderberry, so why don't you tell us?
We want everyone to know all about elderberry.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, we started growing elderberries about 20 years ago, and we have worked with farmers all over the country to help them learn to grow the elderberries on farms and in their backyards and in their gardens so they can grow their own medicine, because that's what elderberry is all about. It's about being healthy and taking care of the earth, because it's great for the earth as well as it is for people and animals. Well, how are your elderberries doing?
Well, my elderberries are doing very well. If you guys don't know this, Terry, 3 years ago, helped me plant some elderberry cuttings around the chicken coop. And what we wanted to do is come and show some of you guys, because believe it or not, we've had a lot of people that have watched that video wanted to know, how are your elderberries, how are your elderberries? So I want to show you guys kind of what has happened and how they've kind of multiplied and how easy they are to take care of. So let's go on over and you guys can see what's going on at the chicken coop.
Sounds great. This is where we planted them, isn't it?
Yeah, we planted, I think we planted 12 plants, just cuttings from you.
We just stuck those cuttings in.
Yeah, and then it went all the way around here. I guess the first year that they grew, you know, they were about so high and everything was good, they grew. And then Terry told me that he goes ahead and you want to cut them.
Cut them off.
Really down, really low. So I want you guys to come over here and see how we did it.
See, when you cut them all the way to the ground, that way they all come up and they'll bloom kind of at the same time, so you can pick them all at the same time. And you know, for us it kind of synchronizes the blooming and the harvest, and it keeps them a little bit more manageable. So don't be afraid. American elderberry, you can cut it to the ground, especially here in the Midwest. It does really good.
I know people like mow them over.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
You can do it and they still come back and they just keep multiplying.
You'll never get these out of here.
No,
they will be there forever.
And I have to tell you, it was very, very simple. In February is when I cut them.
That's the time.
And then I saved some of my cuttings, and then right now they're already starting to pop up, and we're in April. So
Right.
middle of April.
And probably got some started up now around your fence rows and stuff where
Yep.
you've stuck them in.
Yep.
They make great windbreaks. So these are doing really well. You can see how they're going to be nice big canes. They'll even be bigger. Let's pull this back for just a second. There's dozens and dozens of them coming up in here. And these have only been coming up for like a couple of weeks. You can see how big they are already. They will jump. By June, they'll be way over your head,
Yep.
up high.
This little netting I have here because the chickens will start pecking on the elderberries when they're young like this, and they won't grow, because over on this other side, I'll show you what they did. So if you do have chickens and you're growing your elderberries around, see what they did? They came and they just really chomped them all down.
They'll come right back out of it with a little protection though.
Yep.
Chickens love elderberry though. It's so good for them. You know what keeps them from getting the avian flu, coccidiosis, and staphylococcus that we know of?
And that was the main reason when Terry came. I thought I would love to have him around the coop. Doug and I have so much fun sitting around when you start, the flowers are happening, and then you start seeing the berries and they're jumping up trying to catch the berries and have a good time.
It gives them a little bit of shade. They love to run under the elderberries. if you protect them in your chicken yard and get them going good, and they'll be in there to help feed and give that medicine to the chickens, because it's really good medicine for the chickens.
Totally.
Look, they're even coming up underneath the building.
I got them everywhere. Yeah, they're shooting up all over the place.
They'll be coming up through the floor of the chicken house before you know it.
I know, I had them.
Hole.
They're coming out over here, over there.
They're getting plenty of fertility, I think.
They are.
They do great in the Midwest. This is the belt through here, Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, even in Arkansas. That's some of the very best elderberry growing regions. You know, Missouri's the #1 elderberry producer in the country now. We have 50% of the nation's elderberries are growing right here in Missouri.
Wow, go Missouri. I love it. Well, you were telling me before that you can grow it almost in every state in the United States, can't you?
We work with people in every state to get it grown.
Yeah.
Even Alaska and Hawaii, people are starting to grow them. It'll grow all over this country.
Oh, it's everywhere. All over the United States you can grow pretty much.
The United States imports 95% of the elderberries that we use here, all from Europe.
That's just crazy.
And a lot of it from Eastern
That's crazy.
Europe.
Why? I mean, yeah, and then you'd think, why do they have to import it when it's right here?
Well, mostly because the farmers hadn't taken it up to try to develop it into a commercial crop so that we could do it efficiently. But we've been working on that. We have some great farmers now that are growing elderberries, and our supply is increasing. So remember, always look for American elderberries. That's what you really want, because they are better than the European. They don't have the precursors of cyanide in the berries the way the European does, so you don't have to cook them as much. You know, the European berry, you need to boil it for a while to get rid of those precursors of the cyanide so that it doesn't make them sick. But the American, you don't have to boil it like that, so we can keep more of the nutrition in our products. So we think it's a far superior.
And that's the Sambucus nigra, right?
The nigra is what's from Europe, Sambucus nigra, and that's what most of what you'll buy at the store is all that. You want to look for that American elderberry on the label if you really want American elderberry.
Buy American.
Because our American elderberries are glad that it's American elderberry, because we know that it's better.
Okay. See, this dog likes to be put with vegetables too. Now, Terry, I know a lot of people are wanting to start raising elderberry, and you can find a lot of elderberry even where you live. If you're going on the road, just make sure it's not in a contaminated area, like if they're spraying for row crops or anything like that. But you can start your own cuttings. So what time of year would you suggest?
We like to see people do it early when there's good moisture in the soil. We like to cut them in February or March and then plant them as soon as we can after that.
Right, so I let mine go there all winter. They were big and tall, and in February I cut them back. And then I replanted a few all around the property, but I do have some extra canes. And they've been sitting for a while, and they'll still be good, right?
They'll probably still be good.
Okay.
They have a lot of life force in those elderberries. You remember how to cut them up, or you want me to show you again?
I remember, but you can show, because you're the expert. All right.
All right, so we're just going to take one of these. Elderberry, you want to be able to identify it if you're going to try to get some wild stuff. And so one of the most important things to look for is opposite buds. That means there are two buds that come out right across from each other. Then there's a piece of stalk, and then there's two more buds, and then more stalk and two more buds. So it only takes two series of buds to make a propagation. You want to put a pair of buds in the ground and a pair above the ground. All right, we usually start at the end, a little damaged there, where it looks like you just were breaking that one off. When we get in there, we go. So usually on the bottoms, we'll cut them on a 45-degree angle. And there's the two buds at the bottom, and then you go up a section, then we cut it off straight at a couple inches above the second set of buds. So then you have a nice piece with cut on the bottom, two buds, and two buds here. And then you're going to put it in the soil. You want to put those bottom buds about 3 inches or so below the surface of the soil. And it'll put a shoot out at the bottom, so you can just keep going up your stalk. Just nice and green there on the edges, so you know it's still alive. Doesn't have any damage in the pith. If it's black or brown in that pith, you don't really want to use that one. It might have some virus in it. So then you go straight across above that, another 45, up another one. We could probably make some little ones out of this even if we wanted to. And even one that size will make a nice plant.
You could do this one too.
You might as well.
The more the merrier.
You never have too many elderberries, that's what I say. So there we go, there's the opposite buds. It's got those little bumps up. There's 2 more buds. And now you have a handful of trees. You can start a whole row in your garden from 2 little sticks.
That's right, but just make sure if you're going to put them someplace, you know, these are good maybe against a fence somewhere, or if you want like a fence row for protection. But if you put them like right in the middle of your garden, they might overtake it, so beware.
They love good soil, and they can just spread really fast in the garden. So a hedgerow, an edge, a little fence someplace, that's the best place.
Right.
Just work the soil up a little bit where you want to plant them. Put some compost in there. Compost is really important to the elderberry because they really utilize the microorganisms in the soil to get a lot of their nutrition. They actually will give up 20% of the carbohydrates that they make to feed the soil microbes. So they're great for the soil in that way. So when you have that compost in there, it's all inoculated with good stuff. You put it in there, they're going to take off and grow and have that symbiotic relationship with all the soil down there.
So let's go into the garden. I'm going to put these in a pot right now because I can't decide where I want to put them right now. So let's go do this and we'll show you how to plant them.
So that's a nice sized pot there to get started in. But they do like to grow best out in the garden after you get them going though. And so you put some compost in here so we know that it's going to be inoculated like we were just talking about. It's always important to have that in there for them.
Good soil, and then make sure it's nice and loose, right? So
right.
I think it's pretty good.
Looks pretty good there.
All right.
And then, so simple, watch Stacy just stick them in. Remember, you want to put that bottom set of buds. These buds, this is where it's going to root from. It doesn't really root from the bottom of the stick. It roots from these buds. And they're going to come root there, and it'll send up new little shoots there, and it'll send up new leafy shoots there.
So pointing it down.
You know, and if they happen to have some little leaves or they're budded out very much, just be careful when you're putting them in there so you don't knock the fresh little buds off. These are still pretty dormant, so they're doing pretty good.
Think I should do 5?
5's a good number, or 7, either way.
Think I can go for it? All right.
I'd put all 7 of them because you're going to pull them out of there.
Right.
And so you can take these out now when they get started and then plant them maybe 2 to 4 feet apart. 4 feet works really good for people in their gardens. And so with 7 of them 4 feet apart, that's a nice 25-foot long row almost.
Perfect, yeah.
That's just enough for a couple people to get all the berries they need for all their health benefits, just from that little bit of stuff right there.
Yeah, because I will tell you, I know a lot of people who wanted to get into it and they were planting like 100 elderberries, and it's like, I have so many, what am I going to do with them? And so
make medicine for your friends.
That's right. So,
well, elderberry is always good to have on hand to give away to people. It's a great friendship plant. You're giving them some medicine, something that everyone should have one in their back garden. You know, Hippocrates was one of the very first people that loved elderberries. He wrote an entire book on elderberries, and he gave it the name, The Medicine Chest of the People. And so if you're going to have anything growing in your garden for your health, it should be an elderberry because you can use it for lots and lots of different things. It's such a strong anti-inflammatory that it reduces inflammation really, really well, and people get inflamed from all kinds of stuff. Any kind of disease. Life gives you inflammation these days, it seems like. Stress.
Toxins, yeah.
So elderberry every day for everyone.
You know, you look throughout history and what an important plant it was. In the gardens, they would have the big elder plant at the front of the garden because it was a protector of the gardens too.
Some of the original things they used it for was for blow tubes. Do you have a blow tube for your stove that you can blow through for the fire? Because it has a pith in the middle, and when they're green you can knock that pith out really easy and make a long hollow tube.
Wow.
We have a bunch of these. We'll have them at our conference for people to see, and so you can stand 3 feet away and direct that air right on that coal. You can only imagine if you didn't have any ability to make fire and you collected fire and you wanted to keep it going, if you had to collect it and you couldn't really make it if you didn't have matches, to be able to breathe life into one little coal and turn it into a big fire, that was magic, and you'd carry that stick with you everywhere you went. Maybe take a little piece and stick it in the ground at the next camp.
I love it.
You'd be ready to go.
Well, you know what I wanted to do with you today, and I want to do with you guys today, is we're going to go in the outside kitchen and we're going to show you 3 ways that you guys can use elderberry. Just very simple little recipe things that you could do and utilize them at your home or your homestead. All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, there's a tradition here with Terry that we have to do before we show you these 3 great ways that you can use your elderberries that you're getting. What are we going to do, Terry?
We're going to do a shot for your health. You know, we believe in people doing that daily little shot of elderberry juice or one of these other great products that you can make yourselves that gives you that boost. Get rid of those free radicals in your body. It makes every day a good day. To your health.
Thank you. To yours. Good stuff.
Really nice and sweet, isn't it?
It is. It's good. Do we have purple teeth?
Maybe. A lot of people get those purple smiles when I do that. You don't have one, so it'll drop on the end of your nose.
All right, so what I wanted to talk to you guys about with Terry is there's lots of ways, you know, you can do your elderberries. In the summertime, you're going to have fresh elderberries. But a lot of people might dry them, or possibly if you need to order them from Terry or someplace, you know, because you don't have access to them and you want the health benefits or how elderberry tastes, you're going to probably want to get some dried elderberries. So
these are the new American dried elderberries. You always want to look for American elderberries. That's important. And we were going to try to take these, and we're going to show you 3 of the basic ways, or 4 of the basic ways to preserve them so that you can use the berries all year long. And it's really easy to dehydrate the elderberries because they're so small. Some people just do it in their greenhouse under a shade, or
just need very low heat, like 150, 200 degrees at the most.
And so what we're gonna do today, first, we're gonna moisten some of these elderberries. They're 80% water. We take out 80% of all that water to make these dried berries. So we try to use 20% berries, and then up to 80% of the water. And should soak most of it up, and then you'll have a nice little bowl here of the elderberries, and they'll rehydrate and they'll be just like they were when they were fresh. And so we're gonna add some berries to this warm water here. You see, they're already starting to turn that purple. So that's really easy way to do it. Then you can eat those fresh like that, let them hydrate up like that, and they're delicious and full of stuff. There's lots of ways to preserve elderberries. You can preserve everything with just a few different methods, you know, with a vinegar or with alcohol or with syrup or sugar of some type. Or honey.
And that's what we're going to do today. Are you guys ready? We're going to do 3 different ways that you guys can preserve your elderberries and then also use them for lots of different uses.
All right.
All right, let's get going.
So we have the 3 jars. We're going to put a equal amount of these berries in each of the jars. About
a third in each one.
80% of their water. Even are we? And all you got to do is just add some vinegar to one.
On one of them, you're going to do raw apple cider vinegar. So you don't want to have the pasteurized, make sure it's raw. So it has all of its active compounds. And all you're going to do is pour that over the dried berries. Now, here's a little note. This is metallic, that's vinegar. So metal and vinegar don't go very good together. So what I like to do...
Yeah, that vinegar, it will eat a hole right through those lids in no time. I learned from experience on that.
Yes, haven't we all? So I have my lid on tight.
How long do you think that should soak like that?
If you want it to be more flavorful, you could go, you know, a couple weeks.
At least.
You know, after a week or so, it would be okay. For me, I like it to go a few weeks to really get the flavor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake it really good. I'm going to stick it somewhere where I can see it, where I'm shaking it every day or so. And then after that time, I'm going to strain it through. Once it's strained, then you're going to use this beautiful liquid that has all the nutrients the vitamins and minerals from the elderberry. You're going to use this on your salad dressings. You can make a berry salad. Yeah, you could, if you had blueberries in your salad with some pecans and some goat cheese.
Well, you can then easily turn that into a shrub if you wanted to add some sweetener to it afterwards.
You could use those berries. Like, what have you used these berries?
You can make those berries into chutney if you want.
Yeah.
I think we did that one time on one of your shows.
One of our last videos, yeah, and it's amazing. A chutney with this is just fabulous. So if you haven't tried a chutney, go watch that video that Terry and I did. Like for me, I like to do raw apple cider vinegar 20 minutes or so before I eat because it helps with your digestion.
Right.
You know, you could do that. You could just chew it kind of like we just did those shots with the jelly. Because you're going to get the health benefits of the apple cider vinegar and the elderberry. So you could do that.
These are freeze-dried elderberries, a little bit different. Now the freeze-dried elderberries, we pick these in the morning, we freeze them in the afternoon, and then they go directly in from that frozen fruit into a freeze dryer, and they are filled with nutrition. But it takes a lot of energy to make them.
Yes.
So, but they're very stable, they last for many years. But we're gonna make a quick shrub out of it. Since these are American elderberries, we don't have to cook it, and that keeps all those health benefits in there.
Yeah, just remember, American elderberry.
It's beautiful. Look how big and nice those still are.
Oh, they're so good. They pop in your mouth.
Tastes so good too. So we're going to try to put about 1/3 of the jar full. This is going to be some really strong stuff. It might be a little heavy on elderberry, but there's never too much elderberry.
There's a lot of it. So then it's just one part of the berry, one part of the honey, raw honey, one part of the raw apple cider vinegar. Are you helping me measure, Terry?
Yeah. You got your finger on it. There you go.
Is that good? Probably a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then finally,
that smells so sweet and good.
the honey.
All right. Now, is that not beautiful? Look at the way that looks. And you'll have to do the same thing with the paper on that metal lid for that.
Yep. Same thing.
Just
You're
keep
going to let it
shaking
soak for about about a week for you?
A week.
Yeah.
You know where I learned to make these at? From that book that Hippocrates wrote. He was making shrubs 2,000 years ago and using it for medicine. And I saw that recipe. I never even heard of shrubs before. And we made it up, and I let the first batch set on the counter for a year to see how it would do, and it was still perfect. A year later, it was just as good as the day I made it. Because it doesn't take any refrigeration for these. You don't have to keep them in the refrigerator at all, and they'll last for many years.
Well, and the cool thing about these is, like, even in the 1700s in colonial times, the sailors would be, you know, on the seas, and they didn't have their distilled spirits with them, and so this was kind of like an alternative. It's sort of like, it's like the original soda.
And they were making it with lemons and citrus fruits so they could get that extra vitamin C so they wouldn't get drunk. But then they were, you know, they were bringing a lot of rum around too, so then they started mixing it with rum, and it got all confused, but it's really good for the health. Just mix that with some sparkling mineral water that's filled with nutrition too, and it's great.
So forget soda. No one should be buying soda anymore. You can be doing good old shrub. With some good health benefits out of it.
Shrub. All right, so what do you want to try to do next? You want to try to do the tincture?
We can do the tincture next.
These guys are still soaking up a little bit.
They're still soaking it up. Okay. All right, so now we are going to make a very concentrated, a tincture is a very concentrated extract. So you can use an extract, you can use roots, you can use leaves, you can use flowers, and you can do berries. So we're going to do an extract with the elderberry.
Right.
So what you're going to need is a form of ethanol, which is going to be vodka. You want it to be about 80% or 80 proof.
At least.
So
if you make your own liquor to do tinctures, which is we make out from our fruit trees, we make wine and we distill it to be able to make our tinctures. Look at that beautiful color now. It looks like a cocktail already.
It does, it's beautiful, yeah. It's an alcohol, it's going to eat away my lid, so I'm going to put my parchment over my tincture. Shake it up. I'm going to put this someplace in my house where I can see it. I'm going to shake it every day or so. And I'm going to let this alcohol extract or tincture sit for about a month. Now, I know a lot of people
You don't want to keep it in the sunshine, probably.
No, don't put any of this in the sunshine. Yeah, you want to put it somewhere where it's away from direct sunlight.
It's really pretty when the sun's shining through it, but it's best to keep your medicines in the dark.
Yeah, and then what you're going to do after a month or so, a lot of people will strain it. I don't strain mine. I let mine just sit and soak in them. Do you? How do you do?
I do not let them soak for a long time.
Yeah, I let mine sit for a long time.
Sometimes up to a year.
Yes, definitely.
I have a persimmon shrub going right now that it's been there for a year.
You know, and it keeps it stable because the alcohol will keep it stable. So I'll go ahead, when this is finished, you can either strain it, you can put it in those little dropper bottles. And what you're gonna do is, you can use like a squirt of the dropper bottle and you can put that in some water and you could drink it if you want some of the properties of the elderberry.
I'd probably do more drops under my tongue. I kind of like that, or
that's a little strong.
Shots.
That's a little too strong. I like to mix it with honey. You can mix it with honey and take it.
Well, you feel those drops.
All right, just a little note. If you guys are making some of this stuff, you always say, oh, I remember, but you'll forget, or you'll forget what it is. Always label your lids. So,
the date is always good to put on there on your label besides what it is.
Yes, definitely.
All right, we have 2 more left to go here. This is going to be with honey.
So we're gonna make an infused honey. So, you know, it's fun to have honey that has different flavors. So if you're gonna use that, if you put it in your tea, or if you're gonna put it over, you know, make it in your salad dressing as well with your vinegar, you can do that. So it's just another way to add a little flavor to your honey.
2 super healthy things in one pot. A little bit of both.
These are dried berries. So for it to ferment, and we'll talk about that in a minute, you need to have the moisture content in it. This has been dehydrated, so we won't have it. So all I'm gonna do is leave this in here for a few days.
They're starting to get mixed in there.
Yeah. So I'm just infusing these berries.
And then you'll put that through a strainer and strain the berries out eventually. Or you could just eat them with the berries in there. They'll probably get nice and soft.
You could. Or if you do want to strain them, you could do that just as long. I would probably set this in some warm water so that it's thinner consistency, so it's easier to strain, and you can just put it through like a mesh strainer.
That's looking good.
And it'll start to turn a little bit more pink. It'll be like a pink kind of honey. And who doesn't like pink honey? So here's your bonus one we're gonna do. So you're gonna get 4. We're gonna show you how to do honey fermented elderberries. Like Terry was saying before, when I did the infused one, since it's been dried out, it won't ferment because you need the moisture from the berries for it to ferment. Because generally honey has like 18% of the moisture or so. And then once you go above that, then it'll start to ferment. So we're gonna strain these have been sitting. So now they're all puffed up again. He's gonna strain them through. So we got the water out of it. Oh, I'm missing them, Terry. Okay. All right, so here is my rehydrated elderberries. And then all I'm gonna do is cover it up with my raw honey. So now, I need a lid. I'm gonna mix this up, the honey with the rehydrated elderberries. That's probably the hardest part when you're doing like fermenting with these berries or with the honey, is to get the honey mixed in with the berries. So the thing with this is very, very important. You need to flip it. I keep it where I can see it, away from the sun, and you just constantly want to flip.
And it'll all go down.
Then it'll go to the bottom.
That was magic.
Then you're gonna flip it again. And you need to do this, you know, the first day or so, you want to really get it all blended up really good.
Now don't you have to burp it too?
Oh yeah. So what's going to happen is the honey is going to start to ferment. And it will explode and start oozing all over the place if you don't put it on a tray and you don't watch it every day, because every day you're going to need to just burp it a little bit, just like that. And you'll hear it go, all right, so it's very important that you do that. Back and forth, burping it every day, and then after 2 weeks, 10 days, 14 days or so, then you're gonna have this wonderful honey fermented elderberry.
Does it stop fermenting at a point where it stops burping, where you can hear it hiss?
Yeah, usually after the first couple weeks it's going to be very, very active, and then as it goes on, you're going to notice the honey's going to get very, very liquidy because of the liquid from what you put in it, the berries. So it's going to be much more watery. Yes. And then I like to let it go. If you wait a month or so, you could go 2 months, 3 months, you know, and then that way you can just take a spoonful. No, it'll be fine. So now we showed you guys quite a few different ways that you can preserve your elderberries, and this is just some of the ways that you can store it.
Got to store that stuff somehow, preserve it for the whole year, and these are all great ways that we just did to preserve it. And you know, and these ways preserve all the antioxidants and phytonutrients and stuff that are in the elderberry really, really well. They're stable in there, and elderberry is just filled with antioxidants, you know. I mean, it has over 14,000 ORAC units. Is one of the ways that we measure the antioxidants in there. Something like a blueberry, everybody loves them. I love those good blueberries. They're about, you know, 35% as many antioxidants as in the elderberry. And the combination in the elderberry is the thing, because there's lots of kinds of antioxidants, and some have more important health benefits. Like the antiviral aspect of elderberry is incredibly strong. It's one of the strongest antiviral foods that we can eat. And so we love it for that antiviral part of it. And there's so much great new research that's going on to prove all this historical stuff. We've known for a long time how good it is, but now the scientists are starting to prove it, so it's easier to get out there and tell people how to use it and how good it is for them. You know that there's 173 known health promoting substances in elderberry. And it's filled with so many different ones. The university just published a paper showing what they thought were the 173 health promoting things in that pure elderberry juice.
Foods like this are just wonderful that you guys can start growing yourself. And if you can't grow them,
you can get them from us anytime, or other growers around the country that are growing their elderberries. And we brought a few other of our products. You know, we work with other growers all around. This is some delicious elderberry honey that some friends of ours that are spinning up with our elderberry juice powder, which is another product that we have you can buy. This is freeze-dried elderberry juice. Little bits of it can turn things purple, adds that little extra function to the food so it has more nutrition in it.
I like that.
You can put it in almost anything. And then we have the freeze-dried berries. We talked about that. We made one product with that.
The shrub.
And this fun kit. Now these fun kits are really, really nice because you can make 3 different products with just what's in there. It has the dried berries. It has these nice instructions on how to make a shrub or how to make a cordial, which is a honey sweetened juice, and then turning the rest of that into a chutney. And chutneys are so delicious. You can eat them with all kinds of stuff. I love rice with different kinds of chutney in there that's mixed with it to eat. Adds that more function to it. Okay, so we have lots of different products on our website at riverhillsharvest.com. You can go there and order stuff. We still have a few cuttings left, only for about a week though, and then they'll be gone. But then in September we'll be taking orders to send those out next winter. And we have a lot of exciting stuff going on with our educational platforms that we're doing. We have a new series of classes that we've put together that you can purchase online and learn all about how to grow elderberries, how to do it and make some profit at it, because if you're out in the country and on a farm, you still got to have some money. You still got to pay your taxes and want to buy something once in a while, so you need that cash flow. And elderberry is great because you can grow it and then you can add value to it and make so many different products that you can sell all around your neighborhood to your friends and your family, and you're doing something great for them, helping them be healthy, and you're doing something great for the land. The other thing that's coming on is our big conference we have every year. This is our 20th year for doing our elderberry conference this year, and it'll be in Columbia, and it's going to be fantastic
Columbia, Missouri.
this year. Columbia, Missouri.
June 9th and 10th.
June 9th and 10th, and the 11th is the day for the beginning workshop where we just teach people how to, they're just starting to learn about elderberries. But the university has a really large grant to do research on the health aspects of elderberry, and all those researchers are going to be there and mixing it up with the farmers themselves so that they know what the farmers really need out of that research. And we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. It'll be 3 days long of just filled with great information.
Yeah, and you can find all that information on riverhills.com. And as well, you can find Terry at our conference, the Homesteading Life Conference, which is August 7th and 8th. And he will be there talking all about elderberries and having a lot of his products there as well.
Yeah, we'll do some hands-on stuff, and I am looking for it. That's one of my favorite shows to do now. Anywhere that we go, all over the country, I just love that boat ride in the evening.
Yep.
Hopefully you're going to do that again.
We are going to be on the riverboat cruise, right?
Nothing like a whole boatload of really great people together having some community.
It's good stuff.
Really
so I really appreciate you coming today.
Well, thank you so much. I love coming up here. Have me back a little bit later, and we'll make something else. Maybe we'll work with flowers next time.
Elderflowers are great. So yeah, Terry will come back and we'll talk about elderflowers.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
All right. We'll see you guys later on the next one. Bye.
All right, hope you guys enjoyed all that information about elderberry. If you guys got any questions about elderberry, Terry has put together an online course that you guys could sign up for down below. I'm going to leave a comment. The first comment in this video is going to have the link on it. You're going to sign up there and take an elderberry class, learn how to grow elderberries. And some of the producers, they're really making you know, some good money with elderberries. A lot of times we're always just trying to bring you guys ways you can make money on your homestead, and this is definitely one of them. All right, smash that thumbs up on the way out, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you on the next video.